welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Sabiha Mukadam, a FIFO service planner. Debt after a separation can feel incredibly personal. You open your banking app, see the balances, and suddenly it does not just feel like money, it can feel like proof that you failed or proof that life is never going to feel steady again. But here is the truth I want to start with: a negative balance does not make you a negative person. Debt is a math problem that needs a timeline. It is not a verdict on your worth, your future, or your ability to rebuild. Today, we are talking about debt after separation, how to look at it clearly, how to stop panic from driving the decisions, and how to start rebuilding one step at a time. This is not about pretending everything is easy. Separation can be emotionally and financially exhausting. Legal fees, two households, moving costs, delayed support payments, and old joint accounts can all collide at the same time. So, the goal is not to shame yourself into fixing everything overnight. The goal is to create enough structure that you can breathe again and make better decisions. As always, this is a general education, not personal financial, legal, or tax advice. Separation can involve a lot of moving parts, so please get professional advice before making major decisions. The first shift is emotional, but it is also very practical. Stop treating the debt like a moral failure and start treating it like something that needs structure. Shame usually leads to avoidance. You stop opening statements, you stop checking the accounts, you guess at the numbers, and the guesses are often scarier than the truth. Structure does the opposite. It gives the debt a name, a category, a rate, a minimum payment, and eventually a timeline. A lot of debt that shows up during separation is not lifestyle debt, it's often transition debt. It may be the cost of getting legally separated, moving into a safe space, replacing basics, or keeping the household stable while income is changing. Instead of putting everything into one terrifying total right away, break into three buckets. The first bucket is the legal bucket. This includes lawyers, retainers, mediation, court filings, and payment plans. It is often the structural cost of legally separating and creating a new chapter. The second bucket is marital carryover debt. This might be joint credit cards, shared lines of credit, car loans, or co-signed balances. These debts need liability separation. Emotional fairness matters, of course, but the bank is usually looking at whose name is attached to the account. The third bucket is survival debt. This is the one people often feel the most shame about: groceries, rent, deposits, utilities, childcare gaps, moving costs, or basic supplies bought while life was unstable. That is not always a budgeting failure. Sometimes it is a bridge that helped keep life moving during a very hard chapter. For example, let me give you a Carla's example. Carla went through a difficult 90-day period after her separation, where her household income dropped by roughly 60%. She used her credit card for groceries, utilities, and basic supplies for her children. At first, she saw the balance as proof that she had failed. But once she separated the debt into categories, the story changed. This was not a lifestyle debt, it was a survival debt. She had used a credit card as a temporary bridge to keep her household stable. That did not erase the balance, she still needed a plan, but it did remove some of the shame that was keeping her stuck. Death can make everything feel urgent, and when you're already grieving, angry, tired, or scared, the urgency can be really, really loud. But urgent feelings do not always lead to the best financial decisions. Panic can push people to accept payment terms they cannot actually sustain, borrow at worse rates, avoid legal bills, ignore statements, or fight very expensive battles for emotional relief instead of practical progress. The goal is to not solve every balance today. The goal is to stop fear from making the plan worse. There are two panic traps you have to be careful about. The first is the emotional trap. Wanting to keep the home can be completely understandable, especially if you have children involved. But if the home no longer fits the income picture, keeping it can leave someone house poor and cash poor. The second one is the credit score obsession. A temporary score dip can feel scary, but in a separation, separating liabilities, stabilizing cash flow is more urgent than protecting the three-digit number in the short term. Before making any extra payments, create a clean debt list. Do not start with the overwhelming total. List each debt separately. For each one, write down the creditor, whether it's a legal debt, marital carryover, or a survival debt, the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment. Once that information is visible, the debt often feels less frightening. It may still be serious, but it is no longer vague. It has name, rates, payments, and possible timelines. Let's give you Jason's example. Jason was convinced his debt was impossible because he had avoided the statements for months. His mind filled in with the blanks with worst case scenario. When he finally built a debt list, the total was about $16,000, two credit cards, a legal balance, and a line of credit. That was still a real challenge, but it was knowable. And once it was knowable, it could be planned for. There are four blind spots to watch for after separation. The requalification shock. A separation agreement may say one person keeps the home, but the lender still needs to approve that person based on solo income, debt service ratios, and current lending rules. The second one is zombie accounts. Old joint credit cards, store cards, or line of credit can remain open unless they are frozen, closed, or changed to require both signatures. Then the solitary household multiplier. Running one household alone can cost more than expected because property taxes, utilities, groceries, insurance, and repairs are no longer shared. Then there is the RSP tax trap. Withdrawing RSP funds to pay debt can trigger tax and permanently lose contribution room. Get advice before using registered assets in separation context. There are five rules of regaining control. 1. Perform financial triage. First, separate joint and individual finances before making progressive payments. Pull both Equifax and TransUnion credit reports. Identify every shared liability and contact financial institutions about freezing, closing, or restricting joint credits where possible. Second is secure your base camp. Protect the basics first: housing, food, utilities, insurance, and childcare and transportation. A debt plan that leaves no room for real life usually pushes people right back into the credit trap. Choose one repayment method. Use the debt snowball if early wins, stay motivated. Use the debt avalanche if reducing cost is the priority and you can stay consistent. The best method is the one you can actually follow for 6 months. Do not ignore legal bills. Ask whether a structured monthly payment plan is available. Many firms are used to working with clients who share navigating financial transitions. Fifth one, enforce a no new damage policy. Stop the bleeding. Remove saved cards from online accounts, keep credit cards out of daily reach, and use debit or cash for discretionary spending while the plan stabilizes. Once the basics are protected, you can choose a repayment method. The snowball means you pay minimums on everything and put extra money towards the smallest balance first. This is helpful when motivation and early win matters. The avalanche means you pay minimums or everything and put extra money towards the highest interest rate first. This is usually mathematically efficient option because it can reduce total interest cost. But here is the practical part. Neither method works if your monthly cash flow is not stable. So stabilize first, then accelerate. Create a simple 30-day reset plan. Week 1, pull credit reports, list all accounts, mark what is joint, what is individual. Week 2, freeze all closed joint credits where possible, confirm minimum payments. Week 3, build a 1 month survival budget and choose a snowball or avalanche method. Week 4, automate minimum payments, track one weekly win, and review progress. That is it. Not everything has to be solved in 30 days, but in 30 days, you can move from vague panic to visible plan. Remember this: this is a season, not a sentence. Rebuilding after separation is rarely a straight line. Some months will feel slow, unexpected expenses may still come up. That does not mean the plan has failed. Financial recovery is less about doing everything perfectly and more about coming back to the plan consistently. Post separation debt can carry guilt, anger, grief, and fear, but it can also be seen as a record of a chapter where you had to make hard choices under pressure. It may show what it cost to get through the transition. It does not have to define what happens next. You are not behind forever, you are not ruined, you are rebuilding, and rebuilding moves forward one clear, calculated step at a time. If this episode helped you feel a little less alone, a little clearer, save it, share with someone who may need it, or reach out to a qualified professional before making any major financial, legal, tax, or mortgage decisions. At Sage Collaborative Financial Planning, our goal is to help people make thoughtful decisions during real life transitions with clarity, compassion, and a plan that can actually fit real life.